By default, the lights in a level fall on objects in smooth gradients from light to shadow. These detailed gradients in the light and shadow produce a realistic result. By reducing the overall amount of gradients used to draw light and shadow, we introduce contrast to the level's lights and achieve a more graphic effect. In this module, we'll create a mask for the level's lights, which we will then use to add contrast to the light and shadow areas. The post-process material that we'll create that will generate a graphic effect on our lighting is going to be using the current lighting as a mask to drive how graphic the lights appear. In order to get a better visualization of what this mask will look like, let's first turn off our outlines on our characters as well as the base color. Let's set our exposure compensation to 2 so we can get a better view of what the visualization will look like. Next, if we go to the lit button and we browse to detailed lighting, we're going to get a view mode that combines all of the lights in the scene with all of the PBR elements of our materials. We can see the reflectivity in the mannequin, the subsurface components in the boy. This view mode is going to look very similar to the lighting mask that we're going to be extracting from our scene. So let's create a new material and let's call it ppmm_graphic lights. Let's open it up. Let's set the material domain to post-process. And let's set the blendable location to before tone mapping. Now, in order to get our lighting, we're going to need to divide the unaltered scene at the end of the post-process pipeline, which is going to be extracted through our post-process input 0, by our base color. So let's grab a scene texture node, and let's set the scene texture lookup ID to post-process input 0. Let's copy and paste this node, and then let's get our base color. Now, let's create a divide node, and let's divide the unaltered post-process input 0 by the base color. Let's clamp the result, and let's plug the result of the clamp into the emissive and hit save. Now, let's add an element to our array under our blendables section, and let's add our newly created post-process material. Now let's go back to the detailed lighting view and go and select our lit mode. And let's also set our exposure compensation back to 0. And now we can see that we have a lighting mask that looks very similar to the detailed lighting view mode. In order to get this mask to work with our material, there is one more thing we're going to need to do. We need to mask just the red channel from both the post-process input 0 and from the base color. So let's grab a component mask and let's remove the green vector to only include the red channel. And let's do the same thing for our base color. Now when we look at the result, it looks the same. It's just all the color has been removed and we're left with a grayscale image. And this is going to work just fine for our light mask. We now have a working mask of the scene's lights. In the following module, we'll set up controls to change the color and increase the contrast of the light and shadow areas of our render.